Now, I know oftentimes when we think about Nvidia, we think about graphics card. But here's a fun fact for the day. Nvidia is also a full stack accelerated computing platform company that has been in financial services space for 15 years. So to talk a little bit more about that and to see what else is going on in the space of financial services and AI, I'd like to welcome Pahal Patangia, Global Developer Relations Lead for Consumer FinTech, to talk to us a little bit more about financial services and AI, which is where he came from and which is what NVIDIA is doing today. So welcome and thank you for your time, Pahal. Recently, I spotted a report from NVIDIA that's called The State of AI in Financial Services. Now, you guys have also published something similar last year. It's very informative. For those in our audience who have yet to read that, can you walk us through some of the highlights from that report?
Absolutely. So it's been second straight year since we have published the State of AI and Financial Services report. And this is a report where we have interviewed more than 500 professionals, executives across the financial service industry across the globe in different functions. So be it IT managers, be it data science leaderships, be it technology leadership, or be it the hands-on developers and data scientists. And we have tried to understand is that to map the landscape, to map the challenges, and to map the opportunities which lie when it comes to using AI within financial services. So we see companies from hedge funds, retail bankings, investment banks to fintechs are using AI, machine learning, deep learning into different aspects. And what we found from a survey is more than 75% of the companies we surveyed, we found that they use either one of deep learning, machine learning, or high performance computing to enable their end use cases. And what we particularly saw was that in industries like capital markets, in industries like investment banks, they are more prone to using deep learning and high performance computing, where precision and accuracy is highly demanded in their day-to-day work, whereas fintechs are more prone to using machine learning as they ramp up on data and build up their consumer base. So these are the broad trends, what we saw from an industry perspective. And then these companies are using AI, machine learning, deep learning, etc., for having a competitive advantage over the peers, capturing the right market share early on and in a solid fashion. At the same time, AI, machine learning, etc., helps them build accurate models, thus making them better decisions, properly serving their customers, streamlining their operations, and ultimately delighting their customers and investors alike.
You know, I'll be honest, I think I was a little surprised when I saw that percentage that so many organizations are adopting AI in one way or another in their businesses. Can you walk us through what some of those use cases are and what are they prioritizing? Something changed in the last few years that will be of note?
Yeah, for sure. And what we have been seeing from the trends and the patterns in terms of use cases is that now AI use cases are moving from the research labs to production. More and more companies are adopting AI, machine learning, high performance computing to build upon their end business use cases, to leverage, to gain advantage in their end use cases, and then make them mainstream. So this is no longer a thing which is nice to have, but it is a must have for organizations. And when it comes to serving those end applications and problems, what we have seen is particularly that fraud detection and algorithmic trading are particularly the top two use cases which we see dominating across the industry. And at the same time, we see a new entrant coming in this year, being in conversational AI. You know, there's labor shortage all over the world. companies need to be very vigilant in prioritizing their resourcing and making the best use of what they have. So conversational AI in contact centers, in customer service makes a lot of sense for banks to invest in, for financial institutions to invest in, and that is what we have been seeing across the spectrum. A very interesting thing to note is a spike in the investments in the use of AI for fraud detection. As with the pandemic, we have seen an increase in fraudulent behavior across the industry, be it fintechs, be it retail banks, or be it payment apps, for example. So what banks have done is, what financial institutions have done it, you move from rule-based methods to AI-based methods, so that they can they can make decisions in within millisecond latencies. They can reduce false positives, improve customer experience at the same time, and ultimately curb on those fraud losses which incur. So those are the broad key areas where companies are focusing on. At the same time, there are good sprawling use cases coming around: credit underwriting, default prediction, robo advisory, explainability. ESG is getting super hot. Use of NLP is getting prevalent across the industry, and this is being seen as we move from, say, capital markets to retail banking to fintechs. All of them have their different set of workloads and their priorities. So we see a good mix of highly complex, compute intensive workloads, which ultimately are helping organizations make better decisions and serve their customers better.
It's more and more and faster and faster. That seems to be the way the world is going. One of the things I found interesting from the reports were the stats about what C-suite perceived as their organization's AI capabilities versus reality. And I don't think AI was the only thing. I believe that through all the years, that's been always the case with emerging technology. I am curious, in your opinion, what is the best way to help move more financial services organizations forward and help them advance their AI adoption? Because I know that in the beginning you said there are more and more companies moving their capabilities from the lab out in practical use cases, but yet there are still quite a few of them that are left behind. So what can we do?
Yeah, for sure. And when we interviewed different personas of executives and stakeholders within the organization, what we were seeing is that executives have a line of thought that there is lack of budget allocated to AI. Whereas when it comes to data scientists or developers, they think that there is poor infrastructure which is imminent in the company and needs to be worked upon, which is ultimately impeding their ability to produce value. At the same time, IT organization has different challenges in terms of marrying different disparate data sources, lack of data, or ultimately again lack of investments in the infrastructure. So what is required, what this tells is that there is an essential need for organizations to invest in full stack computing capabilities, which enables them end to end, right from gathering the data to ultimately serving their models, and ultimately solving the end use cases, serving their customers for different variety of usages. And for this, you need to invest in infrastructure, hardware, software, networking, as well as hiring the right talent, devising the right data strategy, identifying use cases, and ultimately delivering on those use cases using full stack accelerated computing platform like that of Nvidia. So at Nvidia, we have like an accelerated Nvidia AI computing platform where you can do all of these things together. And we see a lot of interest from different stakeholders and FSI organizations around that.
I think there is never a dull moment in the world of AI and financial services. So thank you so much for your time. And thank you for chatting with me about the report and everything that you guys have found.
Absolutely.